Good morning, sisters.
Good morning to you, brother.
Good morning, Lynette Ben. Good morning, Juliet Ben.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. So I must admit that part of my motive for wanting to hold the chit chat today was to check in on Lynette Ben and Judy Ben, because I think the whole world knows you're in the middle of, what are they calling it, a hurricane bomb or something like that?
Oh, the weather. It's terribly cold. We are in New York. Judy's in New Jersey, but the weather it was extremely windy, very windy last night, blowing away everything. Today it's a little bit calmer, but it's like beastly cold. In the middle states, the middle states are the ones that are getting it really, really hard hit. We could deal with the cold, but that wind, it was something else. But I think we passed that.
It's good to know that you're safe there and it's not too bad where you are. And how's Judy Ben?
She's doing okay. Jersey had a bit of flood because the seawater flooded the streets. So they had some problems there, but they're not Judy is near the beach. She's on the beach front. But I don't think she had any problems. She's okay.
Okay, that's really good. That's a big relief. I was thinking of you as I saw those weather reports coming.
Yeah, I heard it's going to be really, really bad for this winter period. They did predict a very, very bad winter season this year.
Yeah,
it's all in the drama. Yes, it's all in the drama.
We were watching a video of Morley this week, and it was one of those where Baba said that we're at that point of the drama where anything can happen, and it can happen suddenly.
So we expect
it. That's it. We expect the unexpected.
Yes. Every day we have to be thankful. We're here and we're in this body and we could still communicate with Baba, because I said after this, we wouldn't know him for another 5,000 years. So I cherish every day that you could communicate with God.
That's nice. Right. And how are you, Juliet Ben? How's everything in Jamaica?
Jamaica is Jamaica. But I am well and all is well. You know, Baba just keeps us away from a lot of the Kali things and experiences. You see them on TV and hear of them, but you know, so far it's like I'm living in a different Jamaica. So everything is good. Everything is good. Thank you. Yeah.
Wonderful.
And the weather is lovely.
Yeah.
It's a bit, it's like a warm English spring.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so it's about 23, 24, which is very cool here. So very nice.
Oh, that sounds more like an English summer, yes. But yeah. We've had a very cold snap, and we're just coming out of it a little bit, and I think another cold snap is coming. So, but yeah, we're doing okay. And today, as it seems appropriate, we are going to read a morally on Christmas. But before we get into those things, I wondered whether either of you had any thoughts and comments and questions you'd like to make on your reflections on the week's moralies or anything else.
Brother, I had a question. I was pondering on that, and Julie and I were talking about it someday this week. One of senior sister had said that when we come back into this cycle, it's 84 births. We take 42 males, 42 female body. Now, I was saying that I didn't agree with that, because I believe that we come back according to our karma and according to the drama from the past. But this sister was saying evenly 42, 42. And then I was thinking about the gender confusion. I call it gender confusion. And in my mind, I was thinking for like maybe a male to have female instincts, they would have had probably maybe about female births or so before they come into this particular birth in a male body. For them to have those instincts of a female body before. I don't know what your take is on that, but now we find, I realize that you have so much gender confusion that it's like unreal now. I don't know what your take is on that, because I don't believe, in my mind, I feel we don't take even 42 male, 42 female.
Yes. Okay. So I probably would want to separate the two things, the quantity of births and the gender confusion, as you put it, that bit. So I'd like to address them separately. But it's definitely not even, because it's only 83 bodies. The 84th birth is the
Yes.
spiritual. So that I can definitely say is not, it can't be even. We either take one more male or female if you think it's nearly even, but there's going to be one gender that's slightly more. But then I think your other point about the sanskars of a soul is almost more pertinent, because you can be in a male body or female body and have a dominant other gender sanskars, can't you? So I I don't have a definitive answer, to be honest, on the numbers one. Juliet, Ben, do you have any thoughts on that?
It's an interesting observation, brother. I used to work in the area of diversity and was actually talking to someone recently about, well, there's gender and there's sex, isn't there? And the two are not the same as they define it. And so I've always had a problem with the idea of it being equal, because of the sister saying a lot is to do with our karmic accounts. So, as a man, how I treated a woman, how do I get that experience of it if I'm not, a woman in the next birth? But I don't know. But it actually made me think sometimes some of the things that Baba said or says to us, with all the changes that's happening, like Shanti, Sister Sylvia, she says she can't hear us. But
Sister Sylvia, I would recommend you leaving the chat and coming back in. Sometimes that works if the audio is not working.
Okay. So I find that it's almost like when Baba was talking, everything was clear cut. If you looked like a man, you were a man. If you looked like a woman, you were a woman. But now it's so complicated that there are people who don't even consider themselves to be either sex, either any gender. And so, to be honest, I try not to go too deep into it now, because I can't fully reconcile what Baba has taught us to where we are in this world. It's like, when we look at the tree and the main religions come off, and then we have all the little sects and, splinters. It's like it's happening the same with gender and so many other things, that we think it's men and women, and then it diverts, it becomes transgender, and then it becomes non-gender, and so it's like everything is splitting up as we come to the end of the cycle. There's little straightforwardness, and even to get back to the original source of the branch from the tree is often difficult to navigate back to that source. So I'm rambling on a bit, but I'm seeing that what's the word? Similarities in so much that we took as normal or whatever to just be splintering. And it's taken you away from your question or your comment, Sister Lynette. But I was having similar thoughts around the gender and sex thing. How everything, it no longer fits into Baba's description. Because is it about the physical or the mental?
No, thank you for sharing those thoughts, because it helps my thinking. So it'll help when I say something in a minute. So no, I don't think it was a ramble or anything. I think it was helpful. Male Ben, Sylvia Ben, do you have any thoughts? The question was, do we have roughly even male and female births in the cycle? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Quick thoughts, I would say yes. And I remember there was Baba's Murli where he did say that you will never have successive. So you may have male, male, but then after that it's a female, and then female, female, and then male. So you will never have more than 2 birds of the same sex. So I would, my math is really bad, but I would say it more or less would be leveled up.
Thanks. Yeah. I think I can recall morally where maybe something like that is said, but I'm also aware that Brahma Baba was churning as well, along the way. And sometimes when you see the journey and the morally point sometimes. So yeah. Sylvia Ben, if you can hear me, can you hear us? Okay. No, I'm not sure that she can hear. I did send a message if she wants to leave and come back in, but well, I'll share some thoughts then, and I suppose these are just ideas rather than being definitive. So it can be definitive about it not being equal, simply because it is 83 bodies. But if we break this down a little further, there's a few additional questions that I think interest me. The first question that interests me is, what's your first body in the cycle? Do you come down as in a female body or in a male body? And is that significant for the rest of the cycle? For example, we know that Baba comes as Narayan, and we know that Mama comes as Lakshmi. And there's a significance there. And if we think about what Shiv Baba tells us, which tends to focus more on Brahma Baba's role through the cycle, he's told us a few weeks ago, beginning of the Copper Age, Baba and Mama are king and queen in the area of Somnath in modern-day Gujarat, and they build the first temple to Shiva. And again, Brahma is the male, Mama is the female. And then we come to Confluence Age. Brahma is the male, Mama is the female. So is there significance here that the births you're starting off in, the body you're starting off in? Now, what we don't hear so much, I don't know if we hear it at all in the Murlis, is the times when Mama has been in a male body. He does say that they're Vishnu. So I am assuming that, and I think there is a Murli where Baba says that Mama would also become Narayan later on in the Golden Age, and Baba would become Lakshmi later on in the Golden Age. So maybe the couples have changed though. Maybe they're not with each other later on, because on those significant moments in the cycle, they are a couple, aren't they? But it doesn't mean that, we know even in Brahma Baba's last birth, he was married to someone else. So they weren't a couple like that in the last, his 83rd body. So I think that's the first question that interests me, the significance of that first body. Now, linked with that, Daddy Janki used to take this up in the 1980s in her classes, and Ranjan used to always tell me about these classes, and I heard a couple myself. And the question had been asked to Daddy, I think, by the class, someone in the class. Will you become a king, do you think, first, or do you think you'll be a queen in the golden age? And there's a morally that came up just a few weeks ago, actually, where Baba said, the king is the highest status. And so when that morally came up, Daddy Janki, she was quite, she had had obviously a journey, a lifelong journey of spiritual development. So she says that when she first came to Baba, if you blew on her, she would fall over. Like, she was a very sensitive girl. She was one of those girls that just burst into tears very, very quickly. And so she was like diminutive, quite frail. She was unwell, and she was just sensitive. And of course, as her journey went on, she became probably more male. And with people like her and Daddy Prakashmani, Brahma Baba always called them son whenever he referred to them. You know, like he says in the Morali, we hear children, children. And in the Bhog messages, you hear daughter, don't you? Daughter. And that's the way Baba talks to the Bhog messenger. But with Daddy Prakashmani, Daddy Janki, Brahma Baba, when he was around here, he used the term bete, which means son. And his view was that you find many families where the father doesn't have any sons, and the daughters are like the sons, really. And sometimes you find the sons, they're actually not able to take the responsibility as well as the daughters are. So the daughters are really the sons of the family. So he used to use that sort of example. And he said, in this family, you know, you've got these daddies who are capable. And he just empowered them that you got to move away from considering yourself to be this weak female who should be dependent, because it's like in those cultures it becomes ingrained from a young age that you're deferring to the male. And so Brahma Baba just said, sons, you're my sons. His own daughter, Daddy Nirmal Shanta, she was 28 when she came into the yagya. He made her the mechanic for the yagya. You know, and she was brought up like a princess, if you imagine. I mean, he was a multi-millionaire. So she had never done a day's work. She couldn't cook, but he made her the mechanic for the yagya. And, you know, he was very, very clear. You got to do everything, because he's not interested in gender stereotypes. I shared this with you previously, that Dadi Bridge, and she was explaining that the culture in Sindh at that time was that if you're a widow, you had to walk around for 12 months with your head down, wearing a scarlet dress. You had to identify you are a widow and you are in mourning. The man, if he becomes a widower, he can just marry the next day. So Brahma Baba used to say that you as widows, you just cry after your husband. But if you died, the husband's got another woman in his pocket. That's the phrase that Brahma Baba used to use. He'd just take the woman out of his pocket and just move on. He won't even remember you. He won't even shed a tear. And you're getting attached to people who don't really, they won't bother for you. You need to find your own power. So he had actually banned anyone coming to the Morali class in their scarlet dresses. So Daddy Bridge Shanta used to say the team of daddies, they used to be ready in the hallway leading up to the class with sets of white clothes. So these daddies would walk through the streets in their scarlet dress, enter, change, come in their whites, enter the class, and then come out. But he was having none of it. So I think we've got to understand here that Baba looks at the soul as having the qualities of male and female. And society has imbalanced us a lot. And, you know, Baba's got this approach. So look at Lady Janki's journey. So I can remember her being very insistent. I will not be a queen in the first birth. I will be a king. And and it was that type of feeling. But, you know, maybe Mama becomes like an empress in her first birth. So, you know, I don't think it is really any less. But it was that journey of her mentality, I think, that she became such a powerful decision maker, whereas she started off her journey as being very, very dependent and sensitive. So I think that's what we're seeing here. So what do we become? And I think that maybe that first birth has a significance. There was something that Baba was taking up, I think, in a more humorous way today. But it came up a few weeks ago with that symbol of Vishnu as being the coat of arms for the Sun dynasty. And you see, Vishnu is the combined form, isn't it? And he was saying that, well, when Lakshmi marries Narayan, then it changes. And I'm wondering whether in the golden age, there's a completely new gender that we don't have in the Iron Age, called the Vishnu gender. Whether Vishnu is another gender completely. And you end up with a combined soul. Like the mind doesn't have all those layers of past baggages. Like we would be frightened to be so close to another soul in the Iron Age. You know, we will always want to hold part of ourselves back. Even in very good marriages, there's a part that has to be held back a little bit. But in the golden age, we got no fear, right? There's nothing to fear here. So the mind, I think, maybe unlocks something else when we marry. That I don't see marriage in the golden age as just an external, like a legal thing or some ceremonial thing, because we don't even have bhakti, right? So it's not a blessing thing, or I mean, like a general blessing of the community, but not a religious ceremony. It's not a legal ceremony thing. We don't even have written laws there. But why is it so important? Baba says that Lakshmi and Narayan's coronation is celebrated at Diwali. This is why Diwali is the eternal festival of the cycle. And it's the one thing you carry on celebrating. So it must be significant. There must be something there. And I suspect it unlocks a whole new dimension, a whole new energy. So I'm wondering, like, certainly even as single people, as young people in the golden age, I don't think as a girl or a boy, you would be not capable of doing what the other does in any way, or, you know, here a woman's body might lack power. I don't think there would be any suggestion that the male body would be more athletic or more, I don't see why that would be. And then what we do know is that women still are the ones who give birth. So that we know. But other than that, you know, so there'll be certain qualities there because the woman's body is very much connected with creation, connected with the earth. So still there would be those energies, but in a set of pradhan form. But I think there's something about the Vishnu gender. And in Hindi as well, when you say it, it's like one word, Lakshmi Narayan, Sitaram. It's one word. And I think that might continue. Then I think the gender separation becomes a really bigger thing from the Copper Age onwards. And there's something about how we organize society. So in the Golden Age, like in my work, we teach governance. So public management governance, and we look at all the different ways in which governance is conducted. And in the Iron Age, of course, there's a level of top-down, it's a hierarchical, and different cultures have developed in different ways. Here in the UK and Europe, maybe North America, we're moving more towards leadership based on networks rather than hierarchies. But traditionally, everywhere, it was much more hierarchical. And you move into the Copper Age where you got physical power determining the leader. This has been the main feature, who became the leader of the tribe. And it became warrior culture. And then at that point, that becomes more separated. And the second thing that has come in is religion. And as religions have got codified, we seem to have found that men in the main have insisted that it must be them who become guardians and custodians. So I think societies have created this. And I think a lot of what the NetBen term gender confusion, I actually think it's continued since the start of the Copper Age. It's just that there's been a lot of, it's hidden, it's not acceptable. So a lot of things are just unspoken. But, you look right across different cultures around the world, and whether it's different types of sexualities or different types of transgender type of thing, these things are right around the world. These have existed for many, many centuries, millennia, in fact. So I just think that we've been in a state of a little bit of confusion since the Copper Age, really, because we lost the Vishnu bit, right? We don't have that sense of completion the way we would have is the Vishnu gender. So we're always looking to try and find some level of fullness and completion. And then one thing Baba says to us in the Morally is, it came, I think, 2 weeks ago about the three fathers. Do you remember this? The Confluence Age, you got the three fathers, in the Golden and Silver Age 1, and in the Copper and Iron Age 2. And a lot of our identity is connected with parents, isn't it? Pleasing parents. And in the Copper and Iron Age, because God is almost always presented as a male, I think a lot of our sense of self as well, about pleasing this male figure. And you look in the way the Western traditions have, the Abrahamic traditions have developed, it's a very stern, strict male God, isn't it? The concepts of goddesses have pretty much been removed from the Abrahamic traditions. So I think a lot of that causes turmoil inside of souls, because suddenly we got our physical father to please, then we got this concept of God the Father to please, and we're wrestling all the time with this. And then another question that comes into my mind, it's an observation. Baba was talking this morning about the gurus and how you've got the religious fathers as incarnations. And it is noticeable that all of them are male. None of the major faiths are created through a female body. So that father, he always enters a male body. And even in he explains to us that the soul of Brahma is the mother of the religion. Today he was remembering Christ coming into Jesus. So Jesus as well, the mother of the religion. So that even the mother soul has to be in a male body in order for that religion to be established. So for me, it goes back to that Vishnu concept Baba always says to us in the Morally that in order for him to create, he has to come into the body of Brahma, adopt a wife, and then you are the mouth-born creation. So even Shiv Baba is the male. He says, no, I'm the father. This Brahma is the mother. He has to create a Vishnu, right? He has to create a couple identity. We call it BapDada. So I think there's something about the combined that, but it was in today's blessing as well. You're now at the top. You're at the confluence. So what is a confluence? It's a meeting. Like there's something about this drama. On our own, we're always incomplete. On our own, we can't unlock certain powers and certain qualities. But even Shiv Baba on his own can't create. He has to combine. And then you've got creation, sustenance, and, or as he said this one, creation, destruction, and then sustenance. Sustenance happens through Vishnu. Creation through Shiva and Brahma coming together. The creation of other religions, Christ must combine with Jesus. And you've got the creation of the religion, and same with the other religions as well. So, you know, it's interesting, you've got the gender of the body being the male, and there must be some significance in that. That seems to be required for establishing a religion, although I don't really know why. But then that fits in, that relates in, and there was a Morally a few months ago. It relates in why then men have hijacked religions. But then what you get is how women have been written out. So like you've got 12 followers of Christ, but we know there were women in that gathering. And then they get written out later on. So there's a Morally that came up a few months ago where Baba was comparing the process he went through, and he appointed Mama. So he said, just as in the Christian religion, they've got Mother Mary. And, you know, of course, there are two Mary, Mary Magdalena and the Mother Mary. And Baba was saying that, you know, that practical nurturing, and that there are scholars who do argue that in the early church, women were very, very important in running things. And it would make sense because Christ, out of all of the fathers, there's much more similarity with what Shiv Baba is teaching. Especially as Shiv Baba tells us that he taught that celibacy, and he taught that that level of renunciation, and that this is it. I think Christ thought it was confluence age. He said, like, within your lifetime, it's all going to be all over. Heaven's coming. So he thought it was confluence age. And, you know, I think he did probably hand over as well to the women as well to nurture the same sort of way that Baba has done. And so, you know, probably my comments raise more questions than answers, but I think the whole thing, when we look at it, we spin the cycle. I don't think we're talking about gender as the same thing throughout the 4 ages, first of all. I think when there's combinations, there's confluence ages, maybe it creates something else altogether. And then, you know, as we take rebirth especially in the copper and iron ages, like we might be very close to someone and then they're gone and they're forming new combinations and I'm forming new combinations. But like, if we think about the first soul that we marry in the golden age, just like Mama and Baba form that first Vishnu, all deities are going to have their own Vishnu. Now that soul must be someone we are almost identical with, right? There's like a parallel, there's an equality that we will never feel with anyone else, with that soul. Like Mama and Baba, they would never feel it with anyone else on that same level. So again, I think we might subconsciously always be looking for that soul. And subconsciously, maybe we are transferring our expectation of those past very positive relationships onto the relationships we have in the Iron Age. So we're always disappointed a lot of the time, or often we're disappointed because actually we're expecting the souls in the Iron Age to be like what we had before. And that can cause a lot of dissatisfaction. And I think also if we meet those same souls, we were with them in the Golden Age, we meet them again in the Iron Age, they have distorted, we are distorted. So again, our expectations might be something else, and actually they're not capable of it anymore. And that can create more and more karmic accounts. Finally, I think we've got to think about the role of sanskars here. So at the end of the Iron Age now, Baba talks of an explosion of sanskars. So I think what Juliet Ben was describing about the parallel with the tree, like everything expanding, I think that's right. I think that is helpful. So if we look at the tree as an analogy for our sanskars as well, and we start off the cycle, we are much more simple together, sort of almost linear, so totally clear because we don't have confusions and alloys within us. And then we've gone through a full cycle, 83 bodies or roughly that much. And each identity has been important. So we're coming with so many identities. And I think I did share this with you before. I was working with some young people who had been taken into local authority care some years back. And one young lady, she had been in a children's home since the age of 9. So they get quite institutionalized because they've not had that parenting, and they learn how to work in the system and get what they want. So partly you got that in their nature, but partly it was very interesting when I was seeing her, that soul, because her frame, her bearing, her demeanor in another setting would have been appropriate to a lady of a land, like some sort of a figure of authority. And she would walk into the staff office and just begin barking orders. Yes. Go and do this. You go and sort this out now. And this is how she would talk to staff. And I could almost see a confusion in the soul. Like, how come no one's listening to me? And how come the world isn't as I once had it? And I could see a fallen lady, fallen like a ruler. And I think that there's such confusion in some scars at the moment because subconsciously everyone has fallen and they know it. Subconsciously they know it. And we all hark back to a time when we were powerful, when we were happy. And we might then associate that, it's because I'm in a male body, and really if I was a female, then I'd be like, we make associations in our own mind. Oh, if only I was something else, and only. So whether it's specifically to do with the gender thing or just we got an explosion of sanskars at the moment emerging, and we don't know what to do with so many sanskars coming at this time. And Baba says that at the end of the Iron Age, all the rubbish comes out to be settled. And then all souls have to go back home without it. So this thing that no one can really cope at the moment, it's just everything is overwhelming for everyone. And everyone channels it. So everyone's dealing with multiple identities. The human mind is just not simple. So let me stop there and invite any of you to come back with thoughts and comments.
I think, brother, what you just described is very logical and very acceptable. I could see it that way. So thank you for that explanation and the different analogies that you brought forward. It is very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. And so my sense would be, I think what I'm trying to get at is the numbers don't matter really. Say, for example, if I had 50 births as a male and 33 in a female body, but 15 of those females were very, very significant births, right? I would say that they would be more dominant in my consciousness. Because the thing we got to remember is for much of the Iron Age, children didn't survive beyond the age of 5. Yeah, like we've only had vaccinations for the last 100 years. And when we talk about 84 births, we talk about 83 bodies, but some of them might have been like 1 year old. And or childbirth. I mean, childbirth is dangerous now, even if you've got a full hospital full of consultants looking after the mother and the baby. Now, we haven't had that for most of the time. And so I just think that how many of those births were actually very short? So I don't think the number necessarily denotes significance. I think that's my point, that we could have had out of 83 bodies, 60 where we had full lifespan. And then actually out of those 60, 20 are in the golden and silver age. So then you got 40, and then out of 40, only really 20, 22 full births in the Iron Age. You know what I mean? And they could be very, very significant for influencing my sense of self. So I probably would say let's not worry about the numbers.
I'm so sorry, Brother Shilan. I just
Hello,
came up. But I'm so glad that you're talking about that, because that was a question I had, and I'm going to listen to the program later. Because I know Sister Denise had said it's 42 births as a female and 42 births as a male. So I will listen to the program later, because I wanted to find out about that. If that, I got curious when she said that 42 births as a male and 42 as a female.
Yes, well, great to have you here, Judy Ben. But as you know, my approach is always, these are just ideas, that I'm offering. So never take what I say definitive. Go and read more of these yourself and churn yourself, of course. But I'm just, as is my style, I probably create more questions than answers I give. So you have a think.
That's one thing about Brother Campton. I don't know if you know him, but whenever I get into trouble all the time with him, because whenever I say something that someone else said, he said, well, I don't know that. I would have to go and find out about it. So when you say things, sometimes you have to be careful that you're saying something that the others in the group might think is real. But I want to tell you that I don't know. So I'm going to go back and look at the Morleys, and I will know, and I will know whether it's correct or not. Yeah.
I think the purpose behind these chit chats is to stimulate thought. So because Lynette Ben asked the question, then Juliet Ben offered some thoughts, it got me thinking. And Mala Ben gave her perspective. So all of that got me thinking there. And then it reminded me of some other thoughts. And so you go back and listen, because I framed it in a slightly different way. And as you heard just now, I think possibly the numbers is a bit of a distraction from the real.
Yeah. And so that is what happens to me too. I bring up the question, and then he says, no, I don't know that. I have to find out about it. But then it leads into a discussion with everybody in the group. Everyone else comes out and they have something to say. And I like the way you do it too, because you ask everyone to give their thoughts, and that's wonderful.
It helps each other. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Would anyone like to come in with any further reflections on that, or ask anything else, or say anything?
Can I just mention, I think I found the what you said about the male body being the mother figure in all religions quite fascinating. And it's almost like the female function is hidden. It's there, but it's presented in a male body. So yeah, lots to think about. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it is fascinating. I think we've got to churn. But it's also this thing about, I'm sure you've all had that experience in your lives. Sometimes you have a man who is like a mother, you know, they're very motherly. So again, we can get too caught up a little bit on the male body and the female body, when actually this is about sanskars, you know. So I suppose one more thing that I should add into this discussion is the narrative around the vices that Baba offers. So he says that there are 10 heads of Ravan because 5 vices expresses the female and the male. So my understanding of that is that, say, like if we take ourselves back to that framing since the Copper Age of male roles and female roles, and as we know, that has been different over the centuries, different in each culture, country, it's always been varying. But say if I was in that strong man type of culture, that sort of tribe, then if I'm in a female body within that culture, my roles are defined. I'm not going to be invited to be part of the army and become a leader. That's not how the tribe works. You know, you fight each other and the survivor becomes the king. It's that type of culture. So what I would do within that woman's body is find, because the soul still seeks power, right? Still seeks to be powerful. It's not that, oh, I'm in a woman's body, I can't be powerful. This is why that sort of narrative is very simplistic. It's not realistic. And I think why Shakespeare has endured is because he was so perceptive. So if you want to know, I always feel, if you want to know what Baba means by the 5 vices of male and 5 vices of female, read Shakespeare's play. Because he observes, though probably Macbeth is the most famous of this, but actually Macbeth was quite weak. And it was Lady Macbeth pulling the strings behind the murders and things. And he captures this, that in a woman's body, my power would be over my powerful husband, maybe. And women would use their sexuality, their appeal, their comfort, their love to gain that. Then my power would come if I bear an heir. So I give birth to a son. So how many queen regents have we had throughout history? They're extremely powerful. And they can pull the strings like you think of, you know, so many across Europe, even across the years, you know. So, and that's the way. So you're using the same vice, but as a man, I would be expected to use it through violence, through maybe polygamy might be part of the culture, but otherwise multiple mistresses, because that's what kings do. That's the sign that I'm, you know, virulent and powerful. Whereas in a woman's body, I would use that same vice of lust and anger and aggression, but I would use it in a different way according to what that society allowed me, and I would pull levers and make myself equally powerful. And I would be just as jealous and protective and so on. So I think there's an interesting gender narrative around the vices as well, that we can look at. And as I was mentioning earlier, that Brahma Baba used to say that for a man to take another wife is really no problem. But often the wife feels they've got to just be the one devoted to the man. And so sometimes we get into those types of sanskars and we develop those sanskars. And then even in a future birth, we can still be using those same sanskars in another setting. So sometimes you can find yourself being so self-sacrificing or so, and that's what Baba wants us to look at. Okay. Any other questions or thoughts?
Shanti, I enjoyed the suggestion you made, which really made me think about there being the Vishnu gender. It sounds a natural thing to be, because Baba encourages us to use all of the powers and all of our facilities so that we can deal with every situation. And that's all the powers relate to all of us, to both genders, or whether we're male or female. And I can't remember any specific Murli, but I know I have this sense that part of our evolution and development and perfection that Baba wants is that we become that perfect Vishnu, that we balance male and female. And so it makes sense that in the golden age, that's what we are. You know, we're not the feminine in terms of how we are here alone, we're both, so that we can manage any situation. And I made a very strong connection with that observation that you made. Thank you.
Something Baba was saying last week in the Murli about how the images of the deities in Hindu temples is shown as very lustful, or they show Krishna in a certain way, like he's a playboy, really. And Baba was saying that because their vision is full of the vices, they'll then look at the deities. And the point he's making is that when we discuss things like gender, we're referring to our world now, and we're looking at the golden age and making an assumption that gender means the same thing in the golden age, and the oh, it's male and female like this, and gender like this, because our world is men, women, black, white, this, that, and the other. And you know, we're talking about a different age where our body never falls ill. It's born through purity. It's like it's a completely different body with completely different elements, with a completely different. Baba said this last week, that he's not like, he's come to finish everyone's plans. He's going to do something completely different. So I just think we got to be careful about our assumptions here, that maybe it's totally different in the golden age in a way that we have not thought about yet. Great. So let's move into the Murli. We're reading Ranjan Ben's here, as you can see, and appropriate that we revisit a Christmas Day Murli. As far as I know, there are only 2 or 3, because Christmas is not really a major festival in India, and then Baba tended to come on New Year's Eve, so we have New Year's Murlis. But there were 2 or 3 occasions where Baba came, 24th December, 26th December, something like that, and we heard a Murli on Christmas, so let's revisit. We did read it last year, but it's nice to revisit it this year again. So which one did you choose? So Christmas
The
Day?
first one is about Christmas tree and conference, and Baba has been
The 83.
talking a lot of
83.
conference day. But this, yeah, but in this Baba has explained the importance of the tree and why it's our memorial, and so I could read that again. We did read it last year. And this is another one. Oh, Santi, good morning to all.
Good morning, sister.
Good morning. So this Murli Baba actually spoke on the Christmas day, 1983, 25th December 1983. The most important days are the days of confluence. Today, the greatest Father has come to congratulate the greatest children for an important day. Congratulations are being given for Christmas to the children who are sweeter than his niece. They are raisins, mince pie with lots of raisins and sultana. And or in every festival, people will distribute sweets, according to their traditions and culture. But at Christmas, sultanas and raisins are used in many sweets, but especially in England, they have this mince pie with lots of them. And so kiss, K-I-S-H, M-I-S-H, kiss mix in Hindi means raisins. And so Baba is explaining the Christmas meaning and our memorial in a spiritual way, as a confluence, between the confluence age. So today the greatest Father has come to congratulate the greatest children for an important day. Congratulations are being given for Christmas to the children who are sweeter than the Christmas that is raising. The most important days are the days of the confluence age. The dead days have finished, and the days of happiness, the days of maintaining enthusiasm. The festival days are the days of the confluence age. On this important day, the father of the Kalpa tree tells you the story of the Kalpa tree. It is in these important days of the confluence that the foundation of the Kalpa tree, the elevated, sparkling Brahmin souls, decorate the entire tree with their sparkle. The lucky stars, the lovely stars, make the whole tree most beautiful. So Baba is talking about our Kalpa tree, and Christmas tree is the memorial, and people do that. So Baba is giving us a spiritual meaning, because usually before the tradition was just on a Christmas Eve, today is a Christmas Eve, people used to decorate the tree. But nowadays it's different. But so for us, Baba is explaining, it's our memorial, the lucky stars, the lovely stars, make the whole tree most beautiful. The decorations of the tree are you, the sparkling, living stars. In the tree, the sparkling angels who are white and light also sparkle on the tree. The memorial has been the decoration of the Christmas tree. It is the memorial of this time, this day. Yes, day of the Christmas day. Baba says our tree, Kalpa tree is that memorial of us. The most important days of the confluence age. The days of enthusiasm have been remembered as the festival days, and the night has been transformed into the day. The darkness is changed into light. The Brahmin family meets together at this important time of the confluence and eats together with great love. The Brahma Bhojan and the food for the soul. So the memorial of all, that is that the whole family meets together, eats and drinks, and celebrates together. Out of the entire Kalpa, it is the confluence age, which is the day, the time for celebrating with the greatest pleasure and happiness. At the confluence age, celebrate and let your heart experience as much happiness as you choose. The intoxication of the nectar of knowledge will let you experience the state of being lost in love. So, it is this spiritual intoxication that you experience, especially on special days. The total age of confluence is Brahma Muhurat. You know the Amrit Vela? So Brahma Muhurat. Please explain Brahma Muhurat.
Take it up another time.
Yeah, it means Brahma is auspicious. Yeah. The total age of confluence age is Brahma Muhurat, the auspicious time of the beginning. And from the time of nectar, as soon as your eyes open, at the time of your elevated birth, what do you receive? How many gifts do you receive? As soon as your eyes open, you see your old Baba. So Baba is talking about spiritual gifts that Baba gives. So as soon as we are born in Baba's adopted us, what do we see? Baba asks, as soon as your eyes open, you see your old Baba. You are seeing white Baba, and within the white, you see the red. Who did you see? So it is BapDada, and their memorial is Father Christmas. The Father Christmas brings us gifts, and they also wear red and white. And Baba is saying that is memorial of BapDada, our BapDada. So, and it is old person becomes Father Christmas usually. I mean, so that's why Baba pointed out that as soon as we open eyes, we see old Baba. This is Brahma Baba, who has gone through the entire cycle, and of course he was older. He was after 60 years old when Baba. So you are seeing white Baba, and within the white you see the red. Who did you see? You saw the Father, the creator of peace. How many gifts did he give you? So many gifts that you are sustained with those gifts to many, many births. You will not need to buy anything. The most important gift of all, even more valuable than diamonds, is, what do you think Baba said? What is the most valuable gift? More than the diamond. I'm sure you know. It's the bracelet of love. So Baba is putting a bracelet of love. He gave you the bracelet of godly magic. And through this, whatever you seek, wherever you seek it, you simply have to invoke the thought and you experience the attainment. There is nothing which is unavailable within the treasure store of Brahmin. As soon as you open your eyes, all the children received this gift. Everyone has received this. Have they not? Or has anyone missed out? This is the importance of the great day, the memorial of the first Brahmin soul, continues even today in the signs of the last religion because you, the elevated Brahmin soul, are the foundation of the entire tree, that is Kalpa tree. You are the grandfather. So Baba told us all the grandfather, Purvas, ancestor souls. You are the grandfathers and the great grandfathers of all souls. Baba called us great grandfathers. Today, Baba called us great grandfathers as well. You are the grandfathers and the great grandfathers of all souls. All the branches belong to you. You, the Brahmins, are the most important of all, the foundation of the tree, Kalpa tree. This is why souls of every religion continue to celebrate the customs and systems of the confluence age in some way or another, in memory of you souls. You are the souls worthy of worship, who have been since the beginning of time, even more so than the Supreme Soul. You are the ones who are worshipped in double form, and so having the awareness of yourselves as being most important, the most elevated. Celebrate the days of happiness. So Baba is asking us to celebrate and be happy. But while you are decorating the tree or see the tree, remember all this Baba has explained spiritual meaning and just give it to others. So there's nothing wrong if you have tree in the even Thailand does it. Because of this memorial. How few are the days of celebration? Relative to the whole Kalpa, it is just one day, so celebrate it intensely. Dance with happiness, eat Brahma Bhojan, and sing songs of happiness. Do you have any other concern? What will the carefree emperors do all day? Just celebrate with pleasure. Let the mind celebrate with happiness. So Baba is teaching us to form the sanskar for the golden age now. And so I just, because there, then everybody will be celebrating each moment and each day. And therefore Baba questioned us. How few are the days of celebration? Relative to the whole Kalpa, it is just one day. So celebrate it intensely. Dance with happiness. Eat Brahma Bhojan and sing songs of happiness. Do you have any other concern? What will the carefree emperors do all day? Just celebrate with pleasure. Let the mind celebrate with happiness. Achha. Today in particular, to all double foreign children in all directions, special greetings and congratulations for celebrating the most important day, the day of pleasure and happiness. BapDada has come to give a gift for this special meeting. Now there are just a few of you, and because this was 1983, and some had gone there as children, and there weren't many in London or in England. So they were in front of Baba on the 25th, on Christmas Day of 1983. And so Baba is acknowledging them and saying, now there are just a few of you, and even so, you have to sit at such a distance. When there has been further expansion, then it will only be possible to have a glimpse, a vision, and then there will not be a chance for meeting. There will only be a chance to have a glimpse. The vision will have changed into a darshan, just a glimpse. At the end, it will only be possible to receive drishti, and so in bhakti, this world has been transformed into darshan, a vision. Means you go to a chapel or you go to a temple. Baba is talking about the oldest memorials for consciousness. What is the double intoxication that the double foreigners especially experience? There is a song. We have crossed the highest walls, the widest oceans, and we have come to you. It's a film song that, and it's a romantic song that's like in Romeo and Juliet, and then she's singing that I have come, having, but Baba is changing it into a spiritual meaning for us. The double foreigners go so far. At that time, traveling nowadays it's a bit easier, but it was very hard, even trains and everything in India also. And the roads and rail tracks, and they were old. So it was a big, difficult journey. That's why Baba is saying that because of love for Baba, Baba is saying there is a song, we have crossed the highest walls, the widest oceans, and we have come to you. And also there was objection from the Lokik family. Then there were different religions and customs and systems, and so Baba understands, and that's why Baba appreciates and reminded the song and the meaning of it. So all that in the beginning. There are the walls of this world and the different lands here, and so you have crossed the highest walls of the different lands, the walls of religion, the walls of knowledge, the walls of belief, the walls of customs and systems. You have crossed all these, and you have come here. The people of Bharat experienced this meeting, and the people of Bharat also claimed their inheritance, but they found Baba within their own land, and so they did not have to cross such high walls. They only have to cross the wall of bhakti, for them devotion was the biggest wall. But the double foreign children have had to cross high walls of many varieties, and this is why there is double intoxication. You have crossed many varieties of curtains created by the world, and so to the children who have crossed all these walls, double love. So that's why Baba is giving us double love and remembrances. Effort is being made, but Baba's love has made you forget the labor. The trust is such elevated souls, worthy of worship, to the most important children who give everyone light and might, to those who with spiritual intoxication always live in the world of pleasure and happiness, to those who have the awareness of each day as a festival day and celebrate it in that way, to those who receive the unlimited godly gift, to the sparkling elevated stars that decorate unlimited godly gifts. Each day as a festival day and celebrate it in that way, to those who receive the unlimited godly gift, to the sparkling elevated stars that decorated the entire Kalpa tree, BapDada's love, remembrance, and namaste. And then there's a meeting with London group and Australia, and then Anybody, do you want to
Yep, you carry on.
with London?
Yeah.
Another
To
one.
read another.
Another one is about Christmas also. And then there's just a meeting with London group. But this will be spoken on 23rd December. And that's the thing. This is BapDada 23rd, not November, December 1987. Today, Baba, the one who gives a double crown, the one who makes souls into double sovereigns, has come to celebrate a meeting with the double foreign children. BapDada is seeing that the loving and cooperative double foreign children from all four directions are moving forward in both love and service with zeal and enthusiasm. In the mind of each one, there is the enthusiasm of wanting to hoist the flag of BapDada's glorification. Because of their enthusiasm, they experience the Confluence Age as a festival and are flying. When there is enthusiasm at all times, whether it is an experience of enthusiasm for celebrating a meeting with BapDada through remembrance, or whether for attaining visible fruit through service, both types of enthusiasm give the experience of each moment of each day being a festival. So, enthusiasm through experience of meeting BapDada and through attaining visible fruit to service. Both types of enthusiasm give the experience of each moment of each day being a festival. The people of the world experience enthusiasm, especially on the day of a festival. But for Brahmin souls, the Confluence Age is an age of festivity. The entire Confluence Age, Baba is saying, is an age of festivity. Each day naturally gives a new experience of zeal, enthusiasm, and hope. Therefore, every day of Confluence Age, you eat the nourishment of happiness in place of the innumerable attainments you receive from Baba, become double light and constantly dance with enthusiasm. What do people do on the day of a festival? They eat, sing, and dance. Now Baba has observed and he's saying, at the moment, because this is 23rd December 1987, and so 2 days before Christmas, and so Baba was observing. At the moment, in foreign lands, they are specially preparing to celebrate Christmas. They will eat, sing, play, and dance. This is what they will do, won't they? And they will also celebrate meeting one another. What do you do every day? This is the task that you carry out from the early hours of the morning to night time. You do service. To do service means to dance, the dance of knowledge. You sing songs of the virtues of BapDada to other souls. So you celebrate the festivity every day, don't you? Is there a day when true Brahmins do not carry out this task? Every day of the Confluence Age is a day of festivity filled with enthusiasm. They celebrate for 1 or 2 days. However, BapDada makes all Brahmins so elevated. He gives such a golden gift that you become constantly complete and constantly overflowing for all time. On Christmas Day, they wait the arrival of Father Christmas, thinking Father Christmas will come and give gifts. They remember Father Christmas, whereas you, the Father who makes you as sweet as kismet, raisins. Remember kismet, raisins? The gifts that you receive are such gifts that they last for 21 births. There are perishable gifts which last for a short while and then finish, whereas these eternal gifts remain with you for innumerable births. They decorate a Christmas tree, whereas BapDada gives the experience of being stable in the state of being the embodiment of eternal light and might to you. So, to you, Sparkling. So Baba is giving us this. They just decorate the tree, whereas BapDada gives the experience of being stable in the state of being the embodiment of eternal light and might to you, sparkling stars, the elevated confluence age stars of the earth. Those people believe in stars. They use stars for decoration. The memorial of you stars is shown in the form of physical sparkling light. They use either light or flowers for decoration. Whose memorial is this? It is of the Brahmin souls who are spiritual fragrant flowers. All these festivities are the memorial of the festivals that are filled with enthusiasm of you Brahmins of the confluence age. At the confluence, you, the Brahmin souls, are sparkling stars, spiritual roses on the Kalpa tree. You are seeing your own memorials. You become eternal jewels to the eternal Father. Therefore, you see your memorial up until the final birth. You are seeing the memorial in a double form. One memorial is that of the confluence age, which is shown in a variety of forms and ways. And the other memorial of your future deity status is also shown. Not only do you see the memorial of your form, but there is also a memorial of the elevated essence of you elevated soul. There is also a memorial of the activities between the father and the children. So, when you see your memorial, you easily remember that you become such special souls each kalpa. Do you know? You did become this. You have become this, and you will become this in the future as well. BapDada is pleased seeing such children whose memorial exists even now and who constantly stay in his remembrance. This is the memorial of those who stay in this remembrance. You are seeing the memorial. This is the importance of your remembrance. So the double foreign children are happy seeing their memorial, aren't they? BapDada is doubly happy seeing the double foreign children. Why is that? Why is BapDada so happy? Baba says, firstly, because the children of the previous Kalpa, who were lost in different corners, have been found again. There is an experience of a lot of happiness when you find that which is lost, isn't there? Baba is pleased seeing all the children, whether they are the residents of Bharat or from abroad. The second aspect applies to the double foreign children. Even though they belong to a different religion and were hidden behind a curtain of different customs and systems, they drew that curtain very quickly and belonged to Baba. The speciality is that of removing the curtain. To recognize the Father from even behind the curtain is the speciality of the double foreigners. So there is double happiness, isn't there? The double foreign children have this unique faith and intoxication. BapDada, with a generous heart, is giving now another gift, Baba says. BapDada, with a generous heart, is giving a diamond-like gift of claiming special boons and blessings on this important day to the double foreign children, to those who are constantly enthusiastic, who celebrate each day as a festival. May you have a life filled with constant enthusiasm. May you have an elevated life with experience of constant and easy flying state. So, do you remember the first gift that Baba gave us? Bracelet of love. And now this is a diamond like, and this is the gift. It is in inverted commas, and it says, may you have a life filled with constant enthusiasm. May you have an elevated life with experience of a constant and easy flying state. Shall I see a little bit more, or this is that?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
This is fine, yeah, and then anybody, because there is it is also continuation, but this was mainly for Christmas and preparation 2 days before Christmas preparation. But look how much BapDada has, and that Baba has explained the spiritual meaning was beautiful, isn't it?
He was playing with the language.
Yeah.
The word for enthusiasm is utsa, and for festival is utso. And Christmas and kishmish, the raisins. So he likes to play. And like we've heard in these last 2 days, Moralies as well, he likes to, there's this sense of humor, likes to entertain the children. So he's saying that when you open your eyes in the morning, what do you see at Amrit Vela? You see Buddha Baba, this old Baba looking at you. And so this is how children, they open their eyes on Christmas Day. And some of them try and stay awake to see if they can see Santa Claus coming. So he's playing with us. The red of Shiv Baba, the white of Brahma Baba. And I think for all Brahmins, the most important symbol of Christmas is the Christmas tree, because of the Kalpa tree. And I thought it was beautiful how Baba described all the souls as lights, and it's decorated in different ways. They usually have a star or an angel at the top as well.
He's sparkling star so many times, and the other roses and lots of blessings. And we end up this blessing because Baba gave us these gifts and blessing. I thought, well, it's enough because then Baba goes on to explaining about Kalpati Chit Chat of still around, but for some other time, but this was enough for Christmas, and it is good method and guidance Baba gave us that celebrate with your locals, go and do, but don't forget the spiritual meaning, and inside you, you have that spiritual. And then you can also do a service that way if somebody is interested, the meaning of it. So that is good, isn't it? And for us, and the real gift for us.
They have the angel or the star at the top, the different decorations across the branches, and then they put the presents, the gifts, at the bottom, at the roots. So Baba was saying that because you souls are at the roots, you get the gifts. That's where the gifts are. And they don't show a seed in those trees. A seed is always so incognito. And Baba explains that he gives to us, and then you souls become the most important souls, because actually most of the other souls, they don't connect directly with Shri Baba, but they're remembering one or another ancestor, deity, angel, and they're gaining attainments that you gained from Baba through you. So you are the souls who provide the light for the rest of the branches. So I thought one unique line of that first Murli was, all the branches belong to you. I don't think I've heard that line in other Murlis. So it's a nice remembrance. There was one brother who was helping me move some stuff this week. And there happened to be 3 of the course pictures that needed to be moved. And he saw the picture of the tree and began asking about it. And what he liked was that we have all of that, we acknowledge all of the religions. We don't say only this is the correct one and everything else is wrong. But Baba is saying to us, all of the branches belong to you. And he really liked that we were very inclusive in our way of thinking. So this is that reminder that at Confluence Age, you're the great-great-grandfathers of all souls, and all souls belong to you. Okay.
But I just thought, well, Baba was just giving us lots of blessings and so many titles, everything to have enthusiasm and to have intoxication, Baba mentioned, and experience.
Would anyone like to come in with their reflections? No. And if anyone has any other questions or thoughts they'd like to ask before we end for today, please feel welcome to do so. No, everyone's content. So we had another rich discussion. So thank you for helping us to think and churn on a very interesting topic. And thanks to Ranjan for choosing very appropriate Murlis that elevates our consciousness this weekend, so that we are aware of the way Baba looks at Christmas and looks at us while we are playing whatever roles we play within our families, whether that be Lockig family, Brahmin family, wider society family. So one thing I find amazing is that souls behave differently at Christmas. They be more generous, more loving, and how, like Baba was talking about, Christ coming and being that religious father. And these religious fathers, they come 2,000 years ago. And that vibration of love flows through that branch. So even now, people at Christmas behave differently, how they would compared to how they would at other times of the year. And you find that in the different religions as well, that at a special moment with their founder, a special anniversary or special fasting period, people behave differently. So these religious fathers continue to influence through time, their vibration, their actions. So that reminds us as well that what we're doing now, it's going to vibrate through time. It's going to influence, it can keep going and influencing people's behaviors. Okay, Shanti, everyone. Have a great Christmas and New Year. Next Saturday, it'll be the video Morley from Madhuban, so we won't have a chit chat, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Shanti, everyone.
Happy holidays to everybody.
Thank
Om
you.
Shanti. Thank you.
Shanti.